I think it is. I think that there shouldn't be two classes of love in our society. I think that everyone should understand that all love is equal, and it's important not just for the people who want to exercise the right to get married, but it also, I think, sends a pretty powerful message to the broader community, and especially to young people. I mean, it can be a pretty difficult time being a young person anyway, and if you're coming to grips with your sexuality, then that also poses some challenges for you, and we know what the mental health implications are. And you know, if you're a boy in a country town working out who you're attracted to, or a young girl who wants to take her partner to the formal, then hearing the Parliament of Australia say your love is equal makes a big difference to their lives as well. And I think those who oppose marriage equality, at the end of the day, they're actually not standing up for marriage, they're standing up against people on the basis of sexuality. I think civil unions entrenches two tiers of love, but also entrenches two tiers of rights in this country. I think that we've come too far now to suggest that somehow something that's second best is good enough. I don't think that people want to segregate people into classes based on sexuality or gender, and I think that's what civil unions at the moment would do. We can achieve marriage equality in the life of the new federal parliament. We could have achieved it in the last parliament if Labor had voted as a bloc, as they do with every other piece of legislation pretty much. I think we can achieve it in this parliament. I feel quite confident that if there were a conscience vote allowed on the coalition side, that with enough time to properly campaign and talk to MPs, that in this parliament under a Conservative government we could see marriage equality. Look, ideally you would have federal legislation that applied across the whole country, but given that the federal parliament has been dragging their heels on this, I think it's good and a really positive step that states and territories are taking the lead on it, and if they're able to legislate, it sends a pretty powerful signal about the change in social attitudes. And you know, if one state or territory manages to get the law through and upheld, then pretty quickly people around the country will see the world hasn't ended. In fact, the world's got to be a slightly better place and a happier place, and I think that will help the national push as well. Well, something that all of the groups who've been pushing for change, including us in the Greens, have said is that in order to make this happen, we need to respect the fact that in Australia, under the Constitution, religious organisations have a certain status and certain freedoms, and this isn't about saying to particular groups you have to change your religious practice. We just wanted to make that crystal clear, but it's about saying that, especially given that marriage is now probably more a civil institution than it is a religious institution, that we wanted to make it clear that in civil society the law should be the same for everyone. If a religious organisation doesn't want to marry two people, then they shouldn't be forced to, but that shouldn't extend to then denying the right in civil society that others have.